Okay, we're going to look at a for loop and a for of loop. First of all, since I have been getting some questions, let's review what a for loop is first. If I have this array of people and I do a regular for loop, okay, so a regular for loop has three parts, right? First, the first part is, hey, what's the count or index that I should start at? Normally, 0, right? And then the second part is the condition. What does the condition say? The condition says, hey, run this for loop as long as this condition is true, right? And normally we would use the array dot length, because remember, this I is a number, so it has to be compared with another number, which is the length of the array. Okay. So far we have two parts. Hey, start our counter or index at 0, and we're going to run this as long as our I, which starts at 0, is less than the length of the array. Okay. And the third part says, hey, when I'm running this loop, after each iteration, how much do I increase or decrease this count by? Well, normally we increase it by 1 using I++. Okay. So now we have finished our for loop. Our initialization says, hey, start at index 0. Our condition says, start at 0 and keep on looping as many times as you need to, as long as I is less than the length. The third part says, hey, after every iteration, increase your I by 1. Okay. And then console.log people at I. Okay, so we see all of the names here. Now, what's cool about a regular for loop is that what if you only wanted to console.log the names of the people that are in the even indexes, right? So 0, 2, and 4. And yes, 0 is an even number because it is divisible by 2. Okay, so a lot of people would do something like this. They would do if what? If I modular 2 is triple equals to 0, then they will console.log people at I. Let's see if this works. Yep, we get Donald Trump, Melania, and your mother. Okay. Now, if you really truly understand for loops, you can actually take this if condition out. Let's see what we have on the right. Now, you see how it has every single name? Okay. But if we look at our third condition, instead of I++, I equals I plus 2. And we get the same result. How cool is that? Awesome, right? Okay. What else can we do with a regular for loop? Now, what if instead of console.logging in order, starting with Donald Trump, we want to start from the back with your mother, right? And we're going to go from your mother to Trump. Console.logging backwards. And we can actually do this by just changing these three parts of a regular for loop. Okay, so I had to paste this in, or else it's going to look really weird because I have live server on. Okay, so now we're going to start where? We're going to start at people.length minus 1, right? Because we're using the index. So we're going to start here. Okay, now, how long are we going to run this? We're going to run this console.log as long as I is greater than -1. Why is that? Because when I is 0, we also want to console.log that, because index 0 does exist in an array. Okay. And our third condition says, hey, every time we do an iteration, let's decrement or decrease our I count by 1. Okay. And that's why on the right, you see all of this. Now, let's compare this with a for of loop. A for of loop is almost the same thing. Const for, and then const, and then for the values here, we can call it anything we want. We can call it const names of, that's the keyword, of what? Of which array? Of the people array. Okay. And then we're gonna console.log from the for of loop. And then we're going to just console.log the name. Okay, so here we see the console.logs from the regular for loop, and here from the for of loop. Now, let's take a look at this. The regular for loop says let I. If we change this to const I, does it work? Nope. But why is that? Well, because the regular for of loop, you need 3 parts, right? Including the I. But you need to also reassign the I, because you have to either decrement or increment. If you keep it the same, then there is no point of using a for loop anyways. Okay. Since you are reassigning, you have to use let. But how come here we can use const? Well, if you take a closer look at a for of loop, we see the keyword of, and we see 2 things, the values and the name of the array. But we do not see the index, right? Because a for of loop would just run from start to finish. It's going to run from Donald Trump to your mother. And that's it. Okay. So use cases. If you need to console.log something backwards, or if you want to skip indexes, right? Use a for loop. When you use a for of loop is when you want something to just use every single value in order from a certain array or string or whatever. Okay. And as a reminder, you can use both of these on arrays as well as strings and sets and map. And underneath the hood, a for of loop is just a more advanced for loop anyways. Okay. So if you go to the really, really low level, everything actually just uses a for loop, right? Including for in loops, right? Map, filter, all of that. Map and filter can be written with just a simple for loop, which I will show you next time. Okay. All right, let's move on.